You didn't text back, and something changed. Not inside her, inside you. That moment matters more than most men realize. Stay with me for a minute. This isn't about playing games. It isn't about tricks or tactics. This is about something deeper, something many men were never taught. If this message speaks to you, consider subscribing. Every week, there's more content like this for men who are choosing to grow. Now let's go deeper. There is a version of you who waits, the version that keeps checking the phone, the one who rereads the last message and wonders if he said too much. That version of you is familiar. He's tired. He learned from silence to shrink himself. But there is another version of you. This version moves through his day without needing a reply to feel okay. He isn't cold. He isn't distant. He isn't playing hard to get. He is simply full. He is grounded in something inside himself that no message can shake. That grounded feeling is what changes everything. It's not the silence itself that matters. It's what that silence reveals about who you are. When nobody is watching, when nobody is responding, when the world isn't confirming your value, who are you then? That question is the heart of this entire message. That question is the real journey. Because the thoughts she has when you don't text back aren't really about texting. They reveal something deeper. They reflect how humans respond to presence and absence, to certainty and mystery, to men who feel stable and men who feel lost. The first thought she has is very simple. She wonders if you're okay. Not because she's worried necessarily, but because your silence is unusual. Most men reply quickly. Most men stay constantly available. And over time, women learn to read what that availability means. When a man responds instantly every time, she learns something. She learns that his attention is always waiting for her. And a man who is always waiting sends a quiet message that his world revolves around her next text. That isn't the signal you want to send. But when you don't respond right away, something different happens in her mind. Her imagination starts filling the space. And imagination isn't your enemy. It's the beginning of curiosity. Now she's thinking about you without you saying anything at all. That's not manipulation. That's simply how attention works. People naturally focus on what they can't fully see. Then the second thought comes. She wonders if you're busy with something real. Not fake busy, not someone pretending to be unavailable, but a man who is actually occupied, someone with direction, someone with responsibilities, someone who has something meaningful happening in his life. Most men try to fake this. They delay replying as a strategy. But women can usually feel the difference. They can tell when a man forgot to reply because he was genuinely focused on building something. And when a man waited 3 hours just to appear important, one of those men earns respect, the other one is transparent. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot fake a real life. You cannot pretend to have depth if it isn't there. Silence only carries weight when your life actually has substance behind it. If you're sitting alone, staring at your phone, waiting to reply later, that's not strength. That's anxiety hiding behind a mask. Real presence comes from real purpose, and real purpose is something you build long before texting dynamics ever matter. Then the third thought appears. She begins to rethink her own effort. She notices how often she's been reaching out. She notices how much she's been initiating conversations. She wonders if maybe she has been too available, too eager. This isn't manipulation from you. This is simply what space does. Space creates reflection. Space makes people think. And sometimes questions are more powerful than answers. When someone always responds instantly, the interaction becomes predictable. But when a man maintains his space naturally, both people become more aware of the energy between them. That isn't about playing hard to get. It's the natural result of a man who has more going on in his life than constant communication. Then comes the fourth thought. This one is honest and instinctive. She evaluates your value, not in a cold or calculating way. All humans do this naturally. We observe how people carry themselves. We watch what they prioritize. We notice how they give attention, and when they don't. A man who is always available communicates something. He appears to have no boundaries, no gravity pulling him toward other important parts of his life. But a man who has direction feels different, not distant, just focused. He isn't constantly pulled by someone else's attention because he's already engaged in something meaningful. That sense of purpose is one of the most attractive qualities a man can develop. And again, it cannot be faked. It must be built. Then the fifth thought begins to form. She starts looking inward. She wonders what she brought to the last conversation. Was it interesting? Did she add something meaningful? Or was it just routine conversation filling empty space? A grounded man creates a quiet standard without saying a single word. When a man values his attention, the people around him start valuing theirs too. Some people rise to that level, others reveal that they cannot. And either outcome gives you clarity. It shows you who truly matches your energy and who only engages when you are constantly available. That difference matters more than most men realize, because a man with substance thinks long term. Then comes a deeper feeling, the sixth thought. She senses whether you hold your own frame. Frame isn't a concept from a book. It's the quiet confidence of a man who knows who he is and doesn't change himself just to fit every situation. It's the man who is kind without being desperate, warm without being overwhelming, present without collapsing the moment someone becomes distant. Most men have never truly felt their own frame. They have spent their lives adjusting themselves to match other people's expectations. They shrink, they adapt, they try to please, and in doing that, they lose something essential. What many women are truly looking for is a man who feels comfortable inside himself. A man who acts from intention rather than reaction. That quality doesn't come from texting strategies. It comes from the quiet work of building a life you respect. It comes from developing a sense of self that doesn't crumble every time someone takes longer to reply. That work happens internally, daily, quietly, but people feel it, not through your words, through how you carry silence. And then comes the seventh thought. She starts thinking about the kind of man she actually wants in her life. If your silence comes from a grounded place, it begins to align with that image. The image of a man who doesn't need constant communication to feel secure. A man who manages his time with intention. A man whose life contains goals, friendships, passions, responsibilities, real things that fill his hours. That kind of man is rare, not because he's unavailable, because most men have been conditioned to search for validation outside themselves through messages, attention, likes, or quick replies. A man who moves beyond that need stands out, but only if it's genuine. And this leads to the most important question in this entire message. Are you choosing yourself? Not selfishly, not by rejecting others, but by truly choosing your own life, your own growth, and the work required to become the man you want to be. Most men were never taught to do this. They were taught to perform, to provide, to produce. And somewhere along the way, the inner man became quiet. The man with his own direction, opinions, standards, and values. That man needs to return, not aggressively, not dramatically, just through the slow process of reclaiming the ground that was given away to fear, approval, and the constant need to be liked. When you begin doing that work, something changes. You stop waiting for replies to determine how you feel. You stop measuring your value by how quickly someone responds. You stop adjusting your mood based on someone else's silence. Instead, you become your own source, not the source of her validation, the source of your own. And a man who becomes his own source stands differently in the world. It isn't arrogance. It isn't indifference. It's simply the quiet knowledge that you are showing up every day as the man you've chosen to become. Not the man others told you to be, not the man fear-shaped, the man you are consciously building. That path asks something of you. It asks you to sit with discomfort, to resist the urge to fill silence with noise, to tolerate uncertainty, to release the need for constant reassurance. That's difficult. Most men were never taught to sit still. They were taught to chase, fix, respond immediately, and remove any feeling of uncertainty. But some things should remain unresolved for a while. Some silence deserves space, not as a tactic, but as respect for the natural rhythm between two people discovering each other. Because behavior reveals more than messages ever could. How a man handles absence says more about him than anything he could type. How do you handle absence? How do you handle the space between what you want and what you have? That space is where character forms. That space is where boys slowly become men. Not during loud moments, but during quiet ones. In the moment when you decide not to send another message, not as a game, but because you actually have something meaningful to focus on. That is the shift. Moving from a man waiting to be chosen to a man actively choosing his own life, choosing his work, choosing his growth, choosing the version of himself he wants to bring into every room and every relationship. That man doesn't obsess over who texted back. He checks his messages when he has time, then returns to what he was building. Because what he is building truly matters. And the difference between pretending to have purpose and actually having it is enormous. You can feel it in a man immediately. Not because he says impressive things, but because he carries himself like someone moving towards something meaningful. And there is something deeply compelling about a man with direction. A man who is moving somewhere. She will wonder about that. Where he is, what he's doing, whether the things in his life matter as much as they appear to. And if you've done the work, the answer is yes. They matter because you built them. They matter because they are yours. They matter because you quietly decided that your life deserves your full attention. And that decision changes everything. Your conversations become richer because you have more experiences to bring into them. Your presence becomes calmer because you're less reactive. Your sense of self stops depending on outside circumstances, not her mood, not notifications, not validation. It depends on you, on the habits you keep when no one is watching, on the man you're becoming in the quiet moments between messages. That man is who this entire message has been pointing toward. Not a persona, not a strategy, a real human being who has done the slow, unglamorous work of becoming someone he genuinely respects. And when you begin reaching that place, even partially, you realize something important. None of this was ever truly about her. It was always about you. The version of you that got buried under urgency, approval, and the fear of not being enough, that version of you is still there, waiting for you to return to him. Go back, do the work, build your life, become the man who carries silence with dignity. Not because someone told you to, but because you chose it. Because you understand that who you are in quiet moments reveals who you truly are. And the people worth having in your life will feel that, not instantly, but over time, through consistent choices, through the steady pattern of a man who respects himself and keeps building. A man who isn't waiting for responses to begin living. He is already moving, already building, already becoming. That man is worth waiting for. Be that man. Not for her, for yourself. If this message reached you today, and something here felt true, subscribe to the channel. More honest conversations are coming, is saying, for men who are ready to do the real work. We'll be here.